and welcome to this episode of Autocar Professional Dialogue. As the Indian automotive industry advances, there is also a growing trend of the states making increasing efforts to really grow, emerge, and strengthen themselves as automotive industry hubs. Tamil Nadu is one such state which, right from the beginning, has been playing a leading role, is one of the leading investment destinations of the automotive industry, of both within India and from overseas. Now, with the host of disruptions that are taking place, all the mega trends, key among them being the electrification mega trend, Tamil Nadu is again preparing to really have its own fair share and also emerge as an EV industry hub as well. To tell us more about what the plans are and how the state government wants to strengthen its position as an investment destination for the automotive industry, we have with us Pooja Kulkarni, IAS, who is the Managing Director and CEO of Guidance Tamil Nadu, which is the nodal agency for investment into the state of Tamil Nadu. Ms. Kulkarni, thank you very much, madam, for talking to us, and congratulations and best wishes for your new role.
Thank you for having me on. Pleasure.
So to start off with, what are the new programs that you have designed, or the state government is really designing, and some already rolled out, some in the process of rolling out, which will enhance Tamil Nadu's position as an investment destination, primarily for the automotive industry?
Tamil Nadu has had a rich history of always having been a major destination for investments, and whether it is domestic or foreign investors. So we have always been ranked at the top consistently over many, many years, where it concerns the choice of the state as a favored destination for investments. So we have also led on leading indices, whether it's the Economic Freedom Index or ease of doing business. The investments that we have mobilized or have received commitments for over the last 2 years, they bear testimony to the fact that investors continue to repose faith in the state, COVID or no COVID. And I think that is where the state has demonstrated its strength. Despite the tough times, it has not really made a dent on the investments that we continue to attract, not in any one sector, but across sectors. Automotives have, of course, been our strength, starting off with Ford or Hyundai, and we have built large ecosystems. It has not been just the OEMs, but the automotive ecosystem itself is where we have succeeded. And that is something that we have learned a lot from. So whether it is the ICE automotive sector, and now moving on to the EV sector, the ICE sector itself, I think no one is more aware than they are about the challenges that the electrification brings in. And I think in partnership with the government, we are well placed to take advantage of the EV sector with the existing large investors that we have and the new investors that are coming in. We have taken quite a few initiatives over the last couple of years. The single window portal, and now just a couple of days ago, our Honorable Chief Minister, he launched 100 services cutting across 24 departments, so that for investors, the single window portal is the port of call. So whether it is all their clearances, all the major critical clearances that they need, it's just one common application form. Time limits are set within which departments have to give their clearances, and we have in place fairly strong structural mechanisms, committees headed by the Chief Minister himself to sort out issues. So we have in place these mechanisms which ensure that clearances are given at the earliest. Investors don't have to run from department to another. Guidance Bureau is the single window agency which coordinates all these clearances. So if investors do have certain issues to iron out, Guidance Bureau is always there. to help them do that. We also have a portal called BizBuddy. So it's not like, we facilitate the investor just till the investment and then leave the investor after that. So it's a continuous process. It's a strong relationship that we would like to build with investors and give them that strength and confidence. So even after the investment comes in and their business and manufacturing is up and running, any further issues that come in, we have a separate portal for that. It's called BizBuddy, and whatever issues that they have, we have an exclusive team for that and guidance, and that's how we again facilitate their little issues that may crop up now and then. So the single window portal I mentioned. So we're trying to make the whole process as far as possible contactless. The physical touch points, reduce the physical touch points to the minimal.
Right.
Early this year, we also launched the new industrial policy, and our vision is to target 10 lakh crores of investments in the next 5 years, employment or generating employment opportunities for 2 million people. And while we continue to support our core sectors, our traditional sectors, we also target the new sunrise sectors, whether it is pharma, renewable energy, the electric vehicle segment, battery manufacturing, biotech, pharma. So all these are there along with our traditional strengths of automotives, electronics and hardware, heavy engineering, textiles. These are our core strengths, but we are also targeting at the new sectors, uh, which and also the innovation that calls for in these new sectors.
Right.
So that's our focus in the new policy.
Right. And talking about investments, and could you throw some light, what was Tamil Nadu's standing, or what was the level of investments that the state attracted during the financial year 2021, and how does it compare to the previous year, and in the current year, what has been the run rate so far? And within all this, what has been the share of automotive? Could you just give us a snapshot?
Yeah. So in 2020, the calendar year 2020, we received investment commitments worth some of the order of 60,000 crores, which was like a 200% increase over the previous years. And this year itself, we are just halfway through, and we've received investment commitments of the order of 45,000 crores. Our target is, of course, to surpass a lakh crores during the year. And within the overall investments that we have received commitments for, automotives alone account for something like 16,000 crores. So we had a few marquee investors coming in, Aether Energy, fairly a startup, and something that is a startup that has received a fair amount of attention. Of course, the big ticket investment was that of Ola, wanting to manufacture its two-wheelers, its electric two-wheelers here in Hosur. Um, we've also had the announcements from TVS, who are going to set up their two-wheeler and even three-wheeler EV manufacturing. We've also had other investors in the EV sector, be it batteries, battery cells also coming in. But and to support this whole sector, our focus has also been on R&D investments. We've had Chennai, of course, we've had a few, we have a few units already functional in the R&D space. So Ford have their largest R&D setup, in fact, here. Renault, Nissan, Mahindra, Yamaha, Ashok Leyland, the PSA Group, Toyota Connected. So they all have their R&D units functioning here. And I think that is what gives us the space for innovation and the confidence that we will continue to build in this space.
Right.
And in our policy also, we have a special focus towards R&D. So we have specific incentives for R&D. So whether it is defraying some of the expenses on emoluments paid to the research personnel, defraying some of the costs of filing for patents or copyrights, trademarks, whatever it may be. So all the intellectual property that can arise out of R&D, we have specific incentives which will defray the expenses of R&D itself, so that our focus is driven by the necessity that we feel, towards innovation, which will be a key driver.
I think incentivizing innovation and R&D efforts will go a long way for sure, and which is what also the industry looks for support from the government, and that's good to know about that. So the share of automotive investment that you shared is for this year, current, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, great. So, Madam, talking about the EV industry, Tamil Nadu government had unveiled its EV policy. So, since then, how much progress have been made, and have you made any tweaks based on feedback, or just to make it more attractive? Because at the same time, there is a growing healthy competition among states also to emerge as major EV hubs.
That's right. So we published our EV policy in 2019, and we offer, of course, compared to other states, we offer slightly higher incentives towards EV component and battery manufacturing. And so we also understand that component manufacturing is critical to the entire EV chain, the EV value chain. And what we have learned from our earlier experience in automotives, the component manufacturers play as critical a role as the OEM itself. So it's critical to build the ecosystem within the state. So it's not sufficient if just the OEM comes in. The entire host of component manufacturers also need to come in, so that they build over upon each other's synergies. And that's why our EV policy is designed to support the component manufacturers as much as the OEMs themselves. So for component manufacturers, we have a much lower threshold for investment and jobs. So the incentives kick in at a far lower level for the component manufacturers, who are, of course, much smaller in size. And depending on the value addition or the niche segment that they enter in, we can also offer a structured package of incentives to such manufacturers. And thanks to this, we have attracted investments covering the entire gamut almost of the EV manufacturing, EV vehicle manufacturing chain. So be it the OEMs, the Olas, the Aethers, the TVSs, or the component manufacturers. We have Lee Energy, Lucas TVS themselves into battery manufacturing, Aether also doing battery. There's BPL, there's Elest. We also have few companies who've evinced interest in the EV powertrain, which is again a critical component. So we have Male Energy, Yunghua, Lee Energy. So these companies are all into, they are critical partners in the EV value chain itself. And since the launch of our policy, we've attracted investments to the order of about 17,000 crores, and the expected employment that would be generated would be of the order of about 27,000 persons. We are constantly in touch with a large number of OEMs as well as component manufacturers, so that the interest remains, and we are quite hopeful that we will see greater traction in this sector. Our policy is valid for till 2025, and then we will see how the trend goes. And in case we need to make some changes in the policy based on feedback. So one feedback that we have received is on the EV charging infrastructure. So that's something that we would look at and possibly make the necessary changes in the policy.
So basically incentivizing investments for charging infrastructure also.
That's right. Right.
Talking about investment, you also listed down, named some foreign companies, but there are some marquee names, so to speak, in the emerging global EV industry. For example, Tesla. They are now apparently also looking at India. So how is the state of Tamil Nadu moving in terms of competing with other states to attract such investments from foreign investors?
So it's one, attracting foreign investors is not new to us. starting
Yes.
from whether it's Ford or Hyundai, Yamaha, Renault, Nissan, BMW, Daimler, you name them and they're here.
Yes. Right.
We learn from our experience and we learn from the investors themselves. So we have been in touch with both Tesla and Fisker. We are in touch with their higher management, and I think we will see some good traction on this count also. Whatever be their future plans, we always remain in touch with the marquee investors, the big names in the industry.
Correct. And talking about EV policy, as I mentioned a while earlier, so there's a growing a healthy trend of healthy competition among states to really emerge as major EV hubs. So, what are the 2 or 3 key factors you think would really make be the differentiators when it comes to Tamil Nadu as a preferred investment from the EV investment destination?
Okay, one point is the location itself. One, we already have a set ecosystem, so the investors would find it far more convenient to source the components locally, which would clearly give them greater advantages in terms of costs and efficiencies, logistics. The port, our port is what gives us a tremendous advantage. Hyundai for take Hyundai for example. This is now their largest center for exports, and the port has contributed in no small measure towards that. We have 2 berths exclusively for auto imports and exports at the Kamraj port in Chennai. So this is what offers manufacturers here, not just looking at the local market, but also positioning it as a destination from where exports are incentivized. So that's what we offer. The other thing, of course, is our technical workforce. So the number of engineering colleges or the polytechnics, the ITS that we have, uh, the number of graduates and diploma holders that come out. We also have a very good skill development mission going on in the state, partnership with different companies to set up centers of excellence for skilling, partnering with the industry themselves to set up skill development centers and training centers. So these initiatives place us at a distinct advantage compared to other states.
Right.
The
That's
the
yes. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I think the overall culture in the state itself, the harmonious industrial relations, the overall quality of workforce, urbanization, the quality of living, safety, law and order. So all of these aspects, which are, of course, I mean, these are general to any industry, but these would place us at a position of strength, compared to other states.
Correct. So I was coming to skilling because in the because there are these, especially from in the automotive and mobility space, there are a lot of disruptions happening, which require
Mm.
new set of skills, or in many cases reskilling of the industry personnel. So because and which becomes a very critical factor when it comes to building a robust EV ecosystem. So in the state adopting any new measures to build the required talent pool in this new age industry, so to speak.
Yeah, so that's absolutely the right point that you touched upon. So as we move on from one generation to another, from the ICE to the EV, reskilling becomes crucial, and we then partner with the industry to help set up specific centers of excellence where we can improve skilling of our workforce. The existing workforce itself would need to be retrained, and no one is more aware of this than the OEMs themselves. So we partner with them for new investments. In fact, we offer incentives for skilling. So we offer specific subsidies towards training of the labor force in the new skills, and a slightly higher incentive to train the female workforce is offered. We also take advantage of the national quality framework, and under the national skill development mission, we leverage that to retrain the workforce. So these two are are crucial to reskilling the workforce, and that's something that we are taking on. We are also partnering with leading industry investors, like in the function day before yesterday, the event day before yesterday, we had an MOU with G for setting up a center of excellence. So we expect to set up many more such centers for skilling. So the centers would work both ways. They would be centers for training. They would also provide that ecosystem for component manufacturers to come and make use of the facilities for redesigning, additive manufacturing, and all of that.
Correct. And also, along with the automotive industry, the mobility industry as a whole, of which automotive is a key part, is also undergoing a major evolution. So, is Tamil Nadu also preparing any program or policies to build a really absolutely clean, sustainable mobility industry within state?
Yes. Chennai, in fact, is a leader in non-motorized transport. So although the two don't, they might intuitively they might seem mutually exclusive, but they are crucial towards the whole system of an integrated transport. So in Chennai itself, we have the smart bikes. They've taken off fairly well. So people pick them up at the metro stations, and we have multiple parking spaces for these smart bikes. Pick them up and drop, and that. So the multimodal integration is what is crucial. We have a program with the German bank KfW. So with their funding support, we plan to introduce at least 500 e-buses in the next 2-3 years in Chennai, Madurai, and Coimbatore. And then if that goes off well, that can go on to as many as 2,000 e-buses across the state. So this was something that we started more than 2 years ago. So it's not new. So that's where the state gets its advantage from. So we start much earlier than the others do.
Right. And historically, given Tamil Nadu's position as a investment destination for the automotive industry, especially the Chennai belt, it was also referred to as the Detroit of India. And now, before other states also really strengthened their position. But when it comes to the emerging EV industry, the trend in the EV industry, how do you think Tamil Nadu or the Chennai belt will again not be in that same position of earning a similar status?
Yeah, I'm confident. I mean, we're already, like I said, we've already done we've attracted investments to the tune of something like 17,000 crores, and we already have the marquee names in, and we are in constant touch with the leading players in this market. And I see no reason why we cannot recreate in the EV market what we did in the ICE market.
On that note, man, thank you very much. Really enjoyed this conversation with you. Wishing you and your team all the very best.
Thank you so much.